If you're anything like me, Tarkir Dragonstorm has you excited all over again to explore and understand the wedges of Magic the Gathering, those combinations popularized by our first visit to this plane. But this video isn't really about some faction on a single world. This is a series that will take you even deeper to the heart of the wedge combinations and what they truly represent. That's why in this episode, we will be breaking down the wedge of Mardu into its most fundamental parts to truly understand what it means when a faction or character is white, black, and red. With this information in hand, you'll have a better appreciation for the world building of this game. And who knows, you might even learn a bit about yourself along the way. In order to best understand a combination of colors in Magic the Gathering, we should first look to how it's represented in the game. Think of it as the building blocks for a deeper discussion. To this end, I like to pull up three main examples. The first being the core faction that gives this combination its name, a character who best represents these colors, and finally the most common creature type within this combination. With these, we have three vectors to gain a base understanding of Mardu. For the faction, we are lucky because with our return to Tarkir, we get to see this combination in action with a fresh approach from the last. The Mardu of old lived by three core tenets: to conquer is to eat, victory or death, and to rule is to bleed, while the Mardu of the Dragonstorm era lives by three similar yet more nuanced ideas. Loyalty is earned, community is strength, and victory is survival. By merging these concepts and finding the common ground, we understand that Mardu is a clan where strength is a way of life, that devotion and heroism are the greatest traits, and that we're only as strong as our weakest link. From here, I would like to point to the character Kalia. Kalia is a fractured soul whose righteous fury has sent her on a path of revenge. Bullied for her disabilities as a child, she always felt like an outsider. When she used her powers for good, she ended up failing to stop a great evil, one that killed her family and destroyed her home. Her hate and desire for revenge is what keeps her going. Kalia is an interesting figure, a physical manifestation of each of the colors represented within her. But I do think it shows the side of white that looks for retribution, the side of red that is emotionally charged, and the side of black that is unflinching in its resolve. Our final example comes to us by the way of a tie between knights and warriors, which I think is fitting. You see, knights are people of devotion who value a code and live rigidly by it, while the warrior values strength and lives life by the way of exerting its prowess to achieve what it wants. These two types coming together solidify this concept of devotion and strength. Alright, now with these examples, something concrete is beginning to form. A base, if you will. But you know me, I like to dig even deeper still, to truly understand what sort of way of thinking can come when you combine white, black, and red. To this end, I will discuss three versions of Mardu, each leaning more into one of its three colors than the other. Like a quilt made with many hands, individual contribution and expression lead to a vibrant community. In a similar way, someone who follows the Mardu way values what the individual can bring to the whole, rather than ask them to be absorbed as a faceless entity of the whole itself. You see, Rakdos is a combination of the true expression of self, unflinching in who it is. In some cases, this can lead to a bout of selfish action, but when white is there to rein it in and push it towards the values of community, it finds a home with others like it. This is not some restriction made to shackle the individual's right to be themselves, but rather to show them that there is strength when we can come together towards a common ground, instead of going it alone. And that is the heart of Mardu, not just wild abandon, not just rigid structure, but the dance between the two. You see, Mardu sees where these forces collide and find a rhythm. It's not a compromise of self for the sake of unity, nor a sacrifice of unity for the sake of self. It is a celebration of both. It's the warband, the ride or die, the place where you're seen for exactly who you are and still welcomed into the charge. Not because you fit some predetermined mold, but because you bring something to the table that no one else can. It's a storm of personalities, a riot of voices, but when the call to ride comes, they move as one, not as a faceless legion, but as a thunderous force of individuals bound by something deeper than mere obligation. You will never be the person you wish to be without an absolute devotion to your ideals. It takes discipline, drive, desire to reach for the very height of who you can be, and that is where this version of Mardu resides. It's not a way of being for the weak, it is a demand of oneself that pushes you to the limits of your potential. You see, Boros as a combination is one of true dedication, a combination of zeal who stands by its idealist way of being, while Black sets their sights on what it can get from this life. It's a pairing that is both the unflinching hand of self-actualization and of total resolve. But to walk this path is to accept struggle as a constant companion. Discipline alone is not enough. Discipline must be tested, reforged in the fires of hardship. Drive means nothing if it falters when faced with pain. Desire can wither in the face of failure. That is why this version of Mardu does not merely endure hardship, it thrives in it. Every obstacle, every setback is fuel, a challenge to be conquered, proof that you are still standing when others would have fallen. There's no room for doubt, no space for hesitation. The weak look for excuses, the strong carve their own way. To embrace this philosophy is to acknowledge that nothing is given, everything must be taken, forged through struggle and claimed with unwavering certainty. If you're willing to fight for what you believe, to give everything in pursuit of your ideals, then nothing is beyond your grasp. Loyalty is not born from a demand made by birth or law. It is based on trust and is a reciprocal act of devotion, a transaction made that states an expectation to one another. As such, this version of Mardu with its red focus states that my tie to another person is based on an understanding that they will give all for you as I for them, and no less. Because you see, red is a color that goes all in, and Orzhov is a pragmatic pairing who focuses on equal exchange. Some people consider red a flimsy color, always following the winds of change. But the truth is, red knows what it wants and what it expects, not just of itself, but of others. When we introduce Orzhov, this then shifts to ensure that red is not taken advantage of, that loyalty is earned, and that trust, if broken, is returned in kind. If a Mardu person has your back, they have it fully, but they demand the same of you. Loyalty, in this sense, is not blind obligation. It's a pact, a fire stoked by mutual understanding. Mardu's red heart does not give freely to just anyone. It gives fiercely to those who have proven themselves worthy. It does not claim loyalty as an unearned right. Instead, it insists that loyalty is a contract written in fire and steel, in blood and promise. If you stand beside a Mardu soul, you do so knowing that your bond is absolute, but also that it is not given lightly nor cheaply. Mardu is more than just a banner under which warriors ride. It's a way of being, a philosophy of devotion, ambition, and loyalty forged through fire and will. Whether it manifests as a community of fierce individuals, a relentless drive towards self-actualization, or an unbreakable bond between those who have earned it, Mardu stands as a testament to the power of white, black, and red when brought together, where personal strength fuels shared purpose, where hardship is not an end but a crucible, and where the worth of one's word is measured in action, not empty oaths. Understanding Mardu is understanding the balance between these forces, the raw energy that comes from refusing to be anything less than what you're meant to be. It's a call to ride, to stand, to fight, not just for the sake of conquest alone, but for something greater. Because in the end, Mardu is not just about surviving the storm, it's about becoming it. Thanks for watching. I hope this sparked some appreciation for this combination of colors in you. And as always, I want to hear your take in the comments below. Do you think Mardu has the right idea, or are there things about it that you disagree with, perhaps stemming from the color you align yourself more with? And with that, friends, I will catch you in the multiverse. Bye.